Okay, let's begin. Let's begin this short story. Analyze this short story. Today we will introduce a short story. Its name is The Telltale Heart. We will do a close and critical reading on it. We have five. Our group have 5 members. Jiali, Jiaxing, Shuqing, Azfar, and Shanty. Now let's begin the first part. I will introduce the author and the background and characters, the theme. First, I will introduce the author. Edgar Allan Poe was an American writer, poet, actor, and literacy critic. Poe is best known for his poetry and short stories, particularly his tales of mystery and macabre. Next part is its background. First, this short story was first published in 1843 in the Pioneer. The Telltale Heart is characteristics of the macabre themes for which Poe became famous. Poe was a part of the American Gothic literacy movement that became popular in the 19th century. At the same time, Romanticism was in vogue. The third part, I will introduce 2 persons. The first one is narrator. Like many of Poe's other main characters, the narrator of the Telltale Heart is unreliable. The narrator claims that he suffers from nervousness that causes an over-acuteness of the senses. This is the only explanation he gives for his moments and obsession with the old man's eye. And as for the old man, there is evidence for and speculation about all types of relationships between the 2 characters. But it is important to note that the narrator keeps their relationship a mystery. He reduces the old man to nothing more than his eye. The last part is theme. There are 3 themes about this short story. The first one is fear of mortality. This heartbeat can be interrupted not as guilty but as the narrator's heightened awareness of his mortality and terror that he will eventually die just as the old man did. Next is guilt. In this reading, the narrator finally confesses his crime because his guilt grows so great that he can no longer hold it in. Last one is time lie. When he finally kills the old man, he claims that the old man's hour had come. Sound also contributes to the theme. He hears death beetles, a type of beetle that sounds like a clock ticking in the walls. He hears a watch ticking. He hears the old man's heartbeat. That's all. That's the first part. So this is the second part, analyzing the paragraph from first to fourth.
Okay. I will start from paragraph 1. It's true. Yes, I have been ill very ill. The narrator promised to tell a clever story at the beginning. Then he delivers the story, but why do you say that I have lost control of my mind? Why do you say that I'm mad? Can you not see that I have full control of my mind? Is it not clear that I'm not mad? The man doesn't agree that people think he is crazy, but we can see his nevertheless. Indeed, the illness only made my mind, my feelings, my sins stronger, more powerful. My sins, um, my sense of hurting especially become more powerful. I could hear sounds I had never heard before. I heard sounds from heaven. I heard sounds from here. Nervousness makes the man sensitive. That's the reason why he got tinnitus at at last. And we can also say people have two sides. One side is good because he can hear sounds from heaven, and one side is bad because he can hear sounds from here. Then listen, and I will tell you how it happened. You will see, you will hear how healthy my mind is. The madman insists that he's sane and not mad, just as the drunk man denies being drunk. He now tries to prove that he's not crazy through the whole process of murder. It is impossible to say how the idea first entered my head. There was no reason for what I did. I did not hate the old man. I even loved him. He had never hurt me. I did not want his money. See, the man is evil. His evil side drives him to act without any reason or motivation. The narrator admits that he does murder without reasons. I think it was his eye. His eye was like the eye of a vulture, the eye of one of those terrible birds that watch and wait while an animal dies and then fall upon the dead body and put it to pieces to eat it. Now we can see the man is paranoid, full of imagination, and easy to feel anxious. The only reason he killed the old man is for his eyes, because he don't like the old man's eyes. Uh, when when the old man looked at me with his virtual eye, a cold feeling went up and down my back. Even my blood became cold. And so I finally decided I had to kill the old man and close that eye forever. We don't know what's the relationship between the two men so far. The narrator may be the old man's kid. In this case, the old man's eye can be said to symbolize a kind of the judgment of right and wrong, or even the social order's constraint on people's mind and behavior. As for why he was afraid of the old man's blue eyes, perhaps it was because he thought the old man could see his inner world. Perhaps it was because he has seen his whole life through old man. Perhaps it presents the man tries to against the norm. So you think that I'm mad? A madman cannot plan. But you should have seen me during all of that week. I was as friendly to the old man as I could be, and warm and loving. The man is sorry. The man is ugly from inside. He planned to kill a harmless old man. He's not only planned the murder, but also carry it out. He felt he streets. He's not crazy once again, and he want to persuade others that he's not crazy through telling the whole process of murder, and he's really proud of the whole process. And he think, in his view, the madman knows nothing. The mission of the narrator begins with planning and confidence. He is sensitive and passionate, in contrast to the old man's cold and keen eyes. here it turns out that the murder was premeditated long before the advent of the highly technology day of the 21st century, which foretells the destruction of the natural environment and human feelings by the absolute rationality of emerging industries. Okay, that's paragraph 1 from 4.
Okay, thank you. And now I'll be continuing with paragraph 5 until paragraph 8. So, as we can see in paragraph 5, I had my head in and was about to open the lantern when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in the bed, crying out, "Who's there?" So, this paragraph 5, it clearly shows that the old man was so nervous and scared as he can listen to some sound and it's like there's somebody. Now, let us go through paragraph 6. I kept quiet, still, and said nothing. I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed, listening. For a whole hour, I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime, just as I have done after night, hearkening to the dead watches in the wall. And if you can see, we can notice the word which is for a whole hour, I did not move a muscle. And this is an example of hyperbole whereby it exaggerate and help to understand the mind process of a person. You see, a normal person can't be there without moving his muscle, but this narrator was there without moving, so it clearly shows that he's having some kind of disease related to mental health. And now let us move to paragraph 7. Presently, I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief. Oh no, it was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. I knew what that old man felt and pitied him. Although I chuckled at heart, I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise, when he had turned in this the bed. And this particular line, it shows that from since day one that the old man isn't sleeping properly because there's some kind of noises and some kind of weird things happening around him. Hence, he can't sleep peacefully. Let's continue. His fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. He had been saying to himself, "It is nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing the floor. Or it is merely a cricket which has made a single chip." So this old man trying to console himself, telling that those sounds, those weird sounds that he's hearing could be probably from the mother nature and not like there's a people. So the it is nothing but the wind in the chimney, or it is only a mouse crossing the floor, and also it is merely a cricket which has made a single chip. This shows that the usage of anaphora was there. This word or phrase is keep on repeated to impart emphasis, unity, and balance at the beginning of a clause. And also, there's one more part which contribute of the personification, which is, yes, he had been trying to comfort himself with this supposition, but he had found all in vain, and this is also a repetition, because death, in approaching him, had stalked with the black shadow before him and enveloped the victim, and it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow and caused him to feel, although he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. And as I said, this is an example of personification, because it is giving attribute or qualities of a human being to an animal object or a concept. For example, the word that is approaching him. This shows that that is not a person and therefore could not literally stop anyone, but presenting it as a predator or creates a sinister mood. So let us continue. Um, also, no, I haven't finished for paragraph 8. I just put in the previous one. The anaphoric use of the word, which is the dead, it intensifies the situation and makes the atmosphere more intense and frightful. It literally shows the reader on what's happening, like even the tiny matter. So the reader waits for the next lines and events and very deeply understand the narrator's state of mind and his nervousness. The old man was nervous, was scared. So it can be clearly seen from the way he described things. He tried to console himself that the sound that he can hear is from the mother nature and not there's a people or what. So Poe, who's also the author of this story, uses repetition at the beginning of the story to show tension while insanity at the end of it. In this way, this both of the style and content mirror each other through use of anaphora first in the beginning and then at the end. So within the story, the use of repetition creates a frenzied tone that makes it clear that the narrator is not stable mentally. That is what paragraph 7 is trying to tell us, that not just paragraph 7, the entire story, that's what resembles, that the person who's the narrator has been unknown, is mentally not stable. And now let us move to the last paragraph, which is paragraph 8. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very little crevice in the lantern. So I open it. You cannot imagine how stiltily until at length a simple dim ray, like the thread of the spider, shoot from out the crevice and fell upon the vulture eyes. The vulture eyes is indicating the old man's eyes. And here what we can see is it indicates the usage of lantern. If you can see the light, like no dim ray, like the thread of the spider. So here the lantern has been mentioned as a counter to darkness, as well as a source to light to see the evil in its full force. The narrator finally kills the old man once the light is fully shut upon his evil eye, because he has seen the full force of the eye. When the lights are shut off, you can see people's eye clearly. So if the eye is a representation of the narrator's evil or insanity, he must destroy that eye, which is a reflection of him. So here, the lantern also represent the truth that the old man was never evil, meaning that something is wrong, but the old man had just an eye, narrator. So I'm leaving the rest to my fellow which is paragraph 9 to 11 to be continued by other friends.
Thank you, Shanty. Okay, I'll move on for the paragraph 9 to 11. Paragraph 9. It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a dull blue with a hideous evil veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I had detected the ray as if by the instinct precisely upon the damned spot. Here we can say the last word, spot. The spot is not the meaning of the spot itself, but it means the old man's eye. So the eye here, it has become an object that he is obsessing over. He sees that old man. He doesn't see him as a full human being anymore. He sees the eye. He wants to rid himself of the eye. Somehow the eye has become a symbol of it. The narrator's desire to eradicate the man's eye motivates his murder, but the narrator does not acknowledge that this act will end the man's life. So the narrator is freaky, right? Then let's move to paragraph 10. And I have not told you what you mistake for madness, but over acuteness of the sense. So here, the here we can see that the narrator doesn't think that he is a madman. He just think he is over acuteness. He is hypersensitive. So here, his hypersensitivity as a proof of his sanity is not the symptom of his mess. So here we can still feel that the narrator has the mental illness. Now I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when they enveloped in cotton. Here, the watch does not mean the watch itself, but the beetles which can have the little sound to of the clock, just like some sounds like that. It increased my fury as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. Here we can see that step by step, the narrator is determined to kill the poor old man. Okay, now let's move to the next paragraph, paragraph 11. But even yet, I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could maintain to ray upon the eve. Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. So here, Tai two, it still means the heart beating of the narrator. It grew quicker and quicker and louder very instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder, I say, louder every moment. Do you mark me well? I have told you that I'm nervous. So here we can see the narrator is very, very nervous. And now, at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange a noise that excited me to uncontrollable terror. Yet, for some minutes longer, I refrained and stood still. But the beating grew louder, louder. I thought the heart must burst, and now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by the neighbor. So here we can see the narrator. He is to some extent he is still his thinking is still reasonable that he was afraid of to be heard by the neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once, only once. Here we can see the dead hour of the old man has come. It is an instant I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. Here we can see it's the process of the narrators killing the old man. I then smiled gaily to find the deed so far, but many minutes the heart beat on with a muffled sound, and this, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard enough through the wall. At length it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. It was yes, he was stone dead. Here we can see that the old man was killed completely. He was completely dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was doing that. His eve would trouble me to remove. So it's the long paragraph. Here we can know that it is symbolism. The heart represents emotion and impulsive behavior. Pop just explores here a psychological mystery that people sometimes harm those whom they love or need in their lives. And we also know that the narrator has a mental illness, a mental named the paranoia, which means the person may wrongly believe that other people trying to harm him, that they are somebody very important. Yeah, that's my part. Thank you. Let's move on for my next for our group member, Alpha. Thank you.
Hi, now I will present paragraphs 12 to paragraph 18. So the story goes like, if you still think me I'm mad, you think will no longer when I'm described the wise precaution I took for the concealment of the body. The night worn, I woke so hastily, but in silence. First, Of all, I dismember the corpse. I cut off the head, the arms, and the legs. So in here, in this paragraph, you can see that it has a repetition of if you still think I'm mad, me mad, you know. So this is in this in this line, it shows that the narrator is trying to prove that he is not innocent. But as we can see from the above paragraph, we see that if when he says this, he just only proved that he is a mad person. And then another thing that I would like to highlight in this paragraph, as you can see, I cut off the head, the arms, and the legs. He used the, not he or his head, his arm. So in this paragraph, it shows that the narrator thinks of the dead body as an item, not a person anymore. So that it shows that the narrator is a crazy person, because before this, he refers the old man to a person, but now he changed. He referred to the old man as the. And then the paragraph continues in 13. Then I took up 3 planks from the floor of the chamber, deposit all between the scantlings. Then I replaced the board so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could not detect any wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no stains, no of any kind, no blood spots, whatever. I have been too wary for that. A tub that caught at all. So in this paragraph, we can see that the narrator says that he used 3 planks to cover his head, his arm, and his leg. So in this, as my groupmate have told earlier, there's a lot of repetitions in the story, but the repetitions now is the number of 3, which I think represent born, life, and death. As the person was born, and then we have to live our life, and then we will we will be dead after that. Okay, then in this, and then we will move on to paragraph 14. It goes like, when I have made all ends this labor, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came knocking on the street's door. I went down to open with a light heart, for what I now to fear. So in this line, I went down to open with a light heart is a reference. The light heart is a reference to the dead old man heart, because the old man heart has stopped beating. So it is a symbolism or metaphor to the old man heart that has stopped working. So now we can see from this, the narrator tried to calm himself or have calm self, because he says that what had I now to fear, because he is already calmed down. And then another symbolism that you can find in this line is when it says that 4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning is a time symbolize sadness, because in that time everybody have gone to sleep or have a deep sleeps. And then it continues that there are entered 3 men who introduce themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. A shriek has been heard by the neighbor during the night. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused. Information has been lodged at the police office, and they, the officers, have been deputed to search the premise. In this, you can see again the Edgar Allan Poe used 3 men to come to the house and investigate of what happened. He can use any number, but he used 3 men, as I told you, represent born, life, and death. Now we will move on to chapter 15. Okay, I smile, for what had I to fear? I bid the gentleman welcome. The shrieks, I said, was my own in my dream. The old man I mentioned was absent in other country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search well. I led them at length to his chamber. I show them his treasure, secures, undisturbed. And in the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest for the higher fatigues. While I myself, in the wily audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath the response, the corpse of the victim. So in this, we can see that the narrator feel very proud after he can sit above the corpse, the proof that he is not insane. And then another repetition we can see here, you know, I bet them search well. See, he used the repetition of two, and I will be discussing about the repetition after I have finished all the paragraph. Now we will move on to paragraph number 16. The officers were satisfied. My manner has convinced them. I was singularly at ease. Then said, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar beings, but ere long I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached. I have fancied a ringing in my ears, but still they said and still chatted. The ring become more distinct. I continue and become more distinct. I talk more freely to get rid of the feelings, but continue and gain the tightness until at length I found that noise was not within my ears. So in this paragraph 16, it started, the plot is starting to change when the denouncement. So the story is beginning to reach the end when the the narrator have suddenly feel unease, and then from the calmness that he felt before in paragraph 14 and 15, now he become unease, and then he become more and more restless, as we can see in paragraph 17. Next. Okay, no doubt. I know I grew pale, but I talked more fluently and with a high voice, yet the sound increased. And what could I do? It was low, dull, quick sound, much a sound a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I get for breath, yet the officer hear it not. So in this, before I proceed more, I just want to put your attention into it was a low, dull, quick sound, much sound as a watch makes envelope in the cotton. As my previous groupmate have explained this, I just want to want to tell you guys that this exact sentencing has been used by the narrator before he killed the old man, that because he heard that the heartbeat of that old man. Okay, now continue. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I rose and grew about trifles in high key and with violent gesticulations, but the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as it excites the fury by my observation of the man, but the noise steadily increased. Oh God, what could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore. I swung the chair upon which I been sitting and grated it upon the board, but the noise arose over and continuously increased. It grew louder, louder, and louder, and still the man chanted, please, and smiled. What is it possible they heard not? Almighty God, no, no. They heard, they suspected, they knew it. They were making a mockery of my honor. This is thought, and this I think, but anything better than this agony. Anything is more terrible than these derisions. I could bear the hypothetical smiles no longer. I felt I must scream or die. And now again, hark, louder, 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 and louder. So now this shows that the narrator have been restless because he hears the heart ticks, and then in I would like to point the attention into I foam, I rave, and I swore. That line is used to describe a word of a crazy person. So by telling the story, he himself mistakenly used the words to describe a crazy person, that proof that the narrator have a mental illness. And then in this we can see there's a lot of repetition of 2 and 3. And then lastly, in the paragraph 18, it goes like, villains, I shrieks, dissemble no more. I admit the deed, tear up the planks. Here, here, this is beating of the hideous heart. So in the paragraph 18, which is the last paragraph, we see that the narrator sees the old man and the police as a bad person because in this we can see it's a villains. So he perceived that he is a good person by getting rid of the eyes of the old man, and then he sees that the policeman is a bad person because they are trying to punish him for the murder that he did, because he thinks that the murder that he did do goods towards himself. And then the metaphor of the hideous heart, it means that he thinks that the old man is a bad person because of the eyes that the old man have, with the perceptions that the old man has towards him, the narrator. And then so now I will move on to discuss, before we go to the summary, we move on to discuss the repetitions in this story. So as we can see that there are a lot of repetition in the story. As my groupmate says earlier, it is used to show that the narrator is a crazy or mental illness person. But the question comes to our mind: why the number two come a lot of time? Why the author write a lot of things two times? Why the author write a lot of things three times? So in my point of view, three means born, life, and death. But two, in this repetition, we can see that the writer is trying to tell you about the goods and the evil, and then another things is the reality and dreams. So this is what I think of why the author used the repetition of two and two and two. So I would like to end with a question for all of you guys. What do you think of the repetitions and three and two in the story means? Now I will pass to Shanti again.
Okay, thank you, Azfar, for your part. So now I'm going to talk about the summary. So the entire wrap up of the story, which is a telltale heart. It tells the story about a man who commits a murder to an old man just because, according to the man's point of view, the old man has a blue eyes that resembled of a vulture. The man dismembers the old man's body parts and hides them under the wooden plank in the old man's chamber. So when the policeman comes and investigates, he can hear the old man's heart beating. Frightened, he finally confesses that he have committed a murder. So what we can see in this story, it is the man, he had some kind of illness related to mental disorder, and due to that he faces some difficulties whenever he faces this the old man's eyes, especially the blue pale eye. Hence he planned to murder the old man. So that's all the story about. So I hope today's explanation would give other person or the audience some insight about this story. So that's all for my part. Is there anything else which you guys would like to add?
No.
Okay. Does anyone have problems, questions?
Yeah,
No.
if you guys have any other questions, we can just go ahead.
No, I don't have
Okay,
any
let's
questions.
let's stop this record.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
you,
So, all
everybody.
right. Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye.
That's me.
Wait, can you check? Wait, can we check whether the recording can be open or not? Stop the recording first, and then you need to check whether it's good or not.